the perception of the immigration being such a big deal. I wasted my 2 years. Points were always going up, and my lawyer, he never ever suggested this path. I figured out my ranking and everything from 410. Jumping directly to 485 without even my brother's point in. I didn't need anything, and I was so stupid. I didn't know the criteria.
Hi friends, you all must be aware of the big news that the immigration intake for next few years has been revised and increased, which is a good news. Well, many of you would be aspiring to come to Canada. In today's video, I'm joined by Arfa, who had moved in from Pakistan, and she will be sharing her experience of approaching this express entry federal skilled worker program. She initially went with consultant and then chose to do this later on her own. So hear it out from her on how she went about doing it, why she did not go with the consultant later and did on her own.
Thank you, Arfa. Welcome to Canada Tried and Tested. Can you just introduce yourself to the audience? Tell where you're from, your education background, and what you have been doing before coming to Canada.
Thank you, Gopi, for inviting me to your channel. It's an honor to be here with you. So, my name is Arfa Khadija. I am from Pakistan. I immigrated 2.5 years ago. I did chemical engineering back in Pakistan, and I was working for a fertilizer company before moving and doing an MBA from LUMS. LUMS is Lahore University of Management and Sciences. Started as an MBA focused university and has an association with Harvard. Started back in 1986. Then I started working as management trainee in Shell, Pakistan. It was my last job, and that's when I decided to move and immigrate to Canada.
When I was studying in XLRI Jamshedpur, we had a lot of case studies written by professors from LUMS. So that way, I have some introduction to LUMS. So what made you think about Canada? Was this the only option, or you looked around for other options?
Well, coming from Pakistan, like going abroad as a single lady or a female is not that common. So even when I was doing my engineering degree, I always wanted to get postgraduate from any university abroad. It couldn't happen, and then I did my postgrad from Pakistan. In the meantime, my cousins and my family, they were all started to disperse and moving to different countries, and it kind of like triggered me that I also want to explore that kind of environment and want to experience that. That's when I kind of like applied for my immigration. I chose Canada because it's more easier in comparison to US. So immigration came as an easy plan.
So, how did you go about doing this entire process? Take help of any expert?
Okay, so it's a kind of like a funny story. So I kind of like was inspired by my brother because he was the first one who applied for the immigration. So when he applied back in 2010-11, I think so at that time Canada didn't have the express system, and it was more of submit your application and then it takes approximately 1.5 or 2 years before they select or choose your file. So he went with one of the lawyers, and those lawyers were like a family friend. We got to know about them from family friends and all. So that's how he ended up choosing them. His experience was really bad because during his immigration, he kind of like his file kind of like got lost in Dubai and then back in London, and it got delayed. So he was able to get his immigration in 2015. From his experience, I think I was more kind of like frightened that I might not be able to do it alone, and knowing that my family might not be supporting me with this kind of like adventure, I was like not that confident in approaching it or doing it myself. So I ended up searching few lawyers, and one of my friends just did this one consultant, and that's how I connected with that consultant.
Can you tell the audience what kind of challenge you went through when you went with the consultant, or you actually figured out how easy it is?
The first thing was the perception of the immigration being such a big deal. Not many people were doing it in our family, and then I had my brother's experience in front of me, And my brother was also a bit reluctant in helping me out, because he was frightened that that if he say something, it might affect my immigration. So I remember approaching that person, and he like showed me a rosy picture. Oh, it's gonna be done in 6 months, 7 months. It's not a big deal and all. You just give your IELTS, and I'll take care of all the application. We will redo your job resume or your job description, and then showing that it's such a big deal of writing the job description so that it can easily match with what Canadian government has shared in the express entry. I remember it was at that time that Canadian Express or skills system was introduced with new plans of point system and all. So I gave my IELTS, and I remember I was in writing, I had like around 6.5 and the other were like 7. So which kind of like gave me my overall score around 410, 420. It wasn't that a good score, and my lawyer was like, oh, let's wait, it's gonna go down this season, it's gonna go down that season, let's see the fluctuation. It kept on happening like for a year and a half, and I think so I was also lazy and not that committed or focused towards it. But then things started going like weirdly in my work life, and that's when I decided that I need to focus. I kind of like went around talking to my friends, and I figured out on my, like, I consulted with some other people who calculated my ranking and everything, and they told that you need to give your IELTS again so that you can jump the score and bridge the gap between the current ranking, and so that you can easily go into that. And my lawyer, he was a nice person although, but he never ever suggested this path. So I remember back in 2017, I gave another IELTS exam, December, and that's when I think so I got straight 7, a 7.5 and 8, and that's it gave me around 75 points jump.
Wow.
And everything then was like a smooth sailing, because from 410 jumping directly to 485 without even my brother's point in. I didn't need anything, and I was so stupid. I didn't know the criteria. I wasted my 2 years just thinking that it's a seasonal fluctuation. The points will come down, where as the points were always going up. So they were not coming around, and as you know, they were like 2 rounds every month. So I was like, wow. And I remember like I then realized that my lawyer was looking for easy money. He was more of a immigration consultant for big businesses, where you don't have to spend more time. For individuals like us coming like from a worker class, it was for him, he had to spend time. From that point, I was like, oh, I was a fool. I just didn't do my homework well. Otherwise I could have like cleared everything 2 years ago, rather than waiting and realizing that it's only just IELTS that was stopping me.
If someone has to ask you today, okay, on tips on how to approach, should they be going with consultant or can they do on their own? What's going to be your take?
I think so they can do it on their own. It's not that complicated, in my opinion. There might be few points which might need more research, like writing your job description or other things. But apart from that, as you said, submitting the document according to what Canadian government requires, reading their requirements and taking them in literal sense pretty much helps in all the way, because the grading system is very transparent. You can see the calculators that if you enter all the details correctly, you realize that where would you land. And I think so that's pretty much reflection of what you actually will get once you enter your application. WES or other institute have already qualified your degree as a bachelor's or master's, then you know where your point system stands. Same goes with the age. So there are few easy things that you can easily calculate and decide. Apart from that, I don't think so you would require to spend the amount of money that I spent with my immigration consultant, and we wasted 2 years. It is pretty doable. I mean, I think so, because it's not that difficult if you have done your research.
Well, friends, you saw how Alpha was able to increase her score by just getting a better IELTS score. Now, even in your case, looking at the CRS calculator and where you're hit on points and where you can improve, you can make yourself competitive. I have made a video on entire CRS calculator game plan, which I'm sharing the link below. Check it out and you can come with your own game plan. Well, if you like the video, please press the like button as well as comment below and share with friends who can benefit out of this video. Thanks for watching Canada Driving Test.